Hello and welcome back. Sorry for the lack of uploading. When I originally made the schedule, I believed that I would only be working Thursdays and Fridays, but the world comes to fuck you in the ass, and I'm working a full week of 8 to 5. 9-hour days. Not bad. Pain in the ass though. Sorry for swearing. I know this is not made for kids though, so what do you fucking do all day? Anyway, we're back with Encyclopedia Brown. Today's story will be The Happy Nephew. But first we have the answer to Case of the Bank Robber. And here's the solution. The solution to the case of the bank robber from last week is Blind Tom was not expecting any visitors, he had said. He had also said he had not had any visitors in a long time. Yet the light in his room was on, and a newspaper lay on the pillow. A blind man does not need a light, and he cannot read a newspaper, so Blind Tom was not blind at all. Encyclopedia knew then why the beggar had not stepped out of the way of the bank robber. The two men had rolled together with a purpose to exchange yellow paper bags. Blind Tom had slipped the robber the bag of holding the loaf of bread and ordered the fool to police if they caught him. The robber had slipped Blind Tom the bag holding the money. Encyclopedia used a telephone in the shop on the corner to call his father. Chief Brown hurried to the hotel, found the money still in the yellow paper bag, hidden under the mattress of Blind Tom's bed. Blind Tom and the man the police were holding in jail confessed they had robbed the bank. Well, that's that. Happy Nephew's on page 47. The case of the Happy Nephew. The Browns were having leftover meatloaf for dinner one night when the telephone rang. It must be important, said Miss Brown worriedly. Otherwise, why would anyone ring during dinner? She hurried to the telephone. In a moment, she called to her husband. It's Officer Carlston, dear. Chief Brown went to the telephone and spoke with his officer for several minutes. When he returned to the living room, or to the dining room, he bore a frown, and his gun. The Princess Bakery on Vine Street was robbed less than an hour ago. I'll have to go out. Any clues, Dad? Asked Encyclopedia. We have an eyewitness, answered his father. A man passing the bakery says he saw John Abbott running out the door. Hasn't John Abbott, I'm gonna go with Abbott, been in prison? Asked Mrs. Brown. 5 years ago, said Chief Brown, but he's gone straight ever since he came out. The eyewitness only got a quick look at the robber. He might be mistaken. Chief Brown shrugged. Still, I suppose I'll have to stop by and question John. I hope he has a good alibi. Can I go with you? Cried Encyclopedia. May I go with you? His mother said. And drink your milk first. May I go with you, Dad? Encyclopedia asked. He gulped his milk. Come along if you like, said his father, but you'll have to stay in the car and be quiet. I'll be quiet as a dog at a cat show, promised Encyclopedia. He sat quietly beside his father in the police car on the drive to the house where John Abbott lived with his sister and her family. Staying in the car won't be so bad, Encyclopedia decided. The car will be a lot closer to the case than our dining room. On the west side of town, his father stopped the car. Here's the house. Encyclopedia saw a small white house in need of paint. An old yellow car stood in the shaded driveway. There's John, said Chief Brown. A tall young man had come out of the house. He was carrying a barefoot boy about a year and a half old. Chief Brown reminded Encyclopedia to sit quietly in the car. Then he got out and walked toward John Abbott. "Put the child down, John, and keep your hand," said Chief Brown. Put the child down, John," Chief Brown called, "and keep your hands where I can see them." John Abbott started to lower the barefoot baby onto the sharp stones of the gravel driveway. Then he changed his mind and put the car on the front fender of the yellow car and raised his hands. What's this all about, Chief?" he asked. "Robbery," replied Chief Brown. "You were seen running out of the Princess Bakery on Vine Street an hour ago. The door was broken and all the money in the register was stolen." John Abbott laughed. "I wasn't near Vine Street an hour ago. Why, all day." "Look out," shouted Chief Brown. He leaped for the baby. The child had climbed onto the bonnet of the yellow car. He smiled and gurgled happily. Suddenly he stood up and walked close to the edge of the hood. Chief Brown caught him as he started to fall off the car. "Thanks, Chief," said John Abbott. "He's my nephew. I'll hold him." "No, I'll hold him," said Chief Brown. "Just tell me where you were today. Anyone who says he saw me coming out..." Here's the photo. These are amazingly well drawn. Of the Princess Bakery an hour ago was either crazy or a liar," said John Abbott. "Can you prove you were somewhere else?" "I was miles away," said John Abbott. "Since 8 o'clock this morning, I've been driving this car. I drove down from Sundale Shores. I got here just 5 minutes before you came." Chief Brown looked at his watch. "You drove 1,000 kilometers in less than 12 hours? Did you stop around 6 o'clock and talk to anyone? Someone we can check your story with?" "No, not around 6 o'clock, said John Abbott. "I stopped for petrol and a hamburger at about 4:30. Then I drove straight through. I didn't break any speed limit. I had nothing to do with any bank robbery." "I'd like to think you're telling the truth," said Chief Brown. "I am. I've gone straight, believe me," said John Abbott. "All right," said Chief Brown. "I'll have to question the eyewitness who said he saw you. Maybe it'll turn out that he isn't sure." Chief Brown put the baby in John Abbott's arms and walked back to the police car. "I heard and saw everything, Dad," said Encyclopedia. "How come you didn't arrest him?" "Because he says he was driving from Sundale Shores when the robbery took place," answered Chief Brown. "He got here just 5 minutes before we came. I can't prove he's lying, at least not yet." He slipped into the seat beside the Encyclopedia and started the car. "Listen to me, Leroy. Our eyewitness may have made a mistake. He may have seen a man who only looked like John Abbott. A good police officer doesn't put people in jail without more proof than that. I believe the witness," said Encyclopedia. "John Abbott didn't just drive in from Sundale Shores in that old yellow car. I can prove he didn't." "What was that proof?" "That'll be whenever I get to it. Hopefully tomorrow, but maybe not. Maybe Friday. I might have to start doing these on weekends. Yeah. Do the YouTube stuff. I'll see you guys next time. Peace."